In yesterday's daily message, I talked about the glory days, or at least the so-called glory days of the kingdom of Israel during the time of Kings David and Solomon. After the death of Solomon, the kingdom of Israel split in two, the southern kingdom known as Judah and the northern kingdom known as Israel. Each was ruled by its own king. The kingdom of Israel was strong for a couple of hundred years until finally around the year 720 BCE, it was attacked, conquered, and taken over by the people of Assyria and the Assyrian Empire. So some of the people were taken into exile out of Israel, and after that time, the kingdom of Israel ceased to exist. One of the reasons, according to the Bible, that the kingdom of Israel went astray and eventually went away was because they failed to worship only Yahweh. Their constant falling back into the practices of their idolatrous neighbors, according to the books of Kings, led to the downfall of the kingdom of Israel. But there was something else that contributed to their downfall. And it's something that the prophets, especially prophets like Amos and Hosea, railed against to the kings of Israel. And that was their lack of concern, their lack of care for the poor, the widows, and the orphans among them. The prophets said that the kingdom of Israel would fall if it failed in its duties of social justice, because they believed and preached that the people of Israel did not truly love God as they should if they did not take care of the poor, the widows, and the orphans among them. That truth is something that continues today. God wants us to do as he wanted the people of Israel to do way back then. He wants us to engage in the practice of social justice. He wants us to take care of the poor, the widows, the orphans, the marginalized, the dispossessed among us. And so my question is, how well are we doing when it comes to our duties of social justice?